take a few minutes just to talk a little bit about cover crops and how they do some of the good things they do. This is one of the main benefits that we like, the immediate. You know, you've got some beautiful white faba beans, you've got some crimson clover, you've got some blue phacelia, and everybody recognizes this one. Those are great. They provide lots of service, but a lot of the good work that's done by cover crops is actually done in the soil. And we don't often get to see that, so I want to take the opportunity today to wash some roots and show you the roots where the real work in the soil is done. Here's one particular example of this is the sunflowers. You can see the sunflower is both a combination of a taproot here, as well as some fibrous roots here. Now, one of the reasons that you would want a taproot, here's maybe a better example of one. One of the reasons that you would want a taproot is if you got some compaction, you got that taproot to kind of push through it. And then what that do is help break up some of that compaction, let some water off the surface and down into the lower depths. If your issue is trying to get nutrient recover, well then you want a very dense network of fibrous roots. So these are kind of coarse fibrous roots, but you can see them. There's a fair density of them, and if you had, for example, manure that you had worked into the top soil, these roots are going to access all those nutrients that are available, and it's going to take them, suck them up, and turn them into sunflowers. So all the nutrients will be captured, maybe not all, but most of the nutrients will be captured in the stalk, in the leaves, and then hopefully will be available to a certain extent to the following year to a crop. At the very least, it doesn't keep them from being washed off and impaired water quality, etc. Now, not all root structures are exactly the same. Here's here's sunflowers, and this one is canola. So you can see it also has a fairly dense taproot, which would be good for compaction. However, you can see it is exceptionally coarse fibrous roots here. There aren't very many of them, and they aren't very dense. I'll contrast that to this sunflower. So you can see how much more nutrients would be captured with this than with this. Another interesting, let me further along that. This is a grass. It's the only grass we have here, and it happens to be a weed, foxtail, but you can see how dense the roots are there. You can't even really see through them. They're so dense. So if you really want to capture a lot of those nutrients, this is the sort of cover crop that you would like with this sort of a root structure. Many grass species have this sort of root structure. In contrast again to this one, sunflower, in contrast to this one. Not sure if I can put them in there from kind of best to worse for nutrient capture. But the other way would be around. If you're looking at compaction, this one over here would be the best one, and this one wouldn't be as good. One of the real benefits of having these grass in the rotation is with each one of these, you know, this very dense network of roots, there is root exudates that are pushed out through the ends of these roots. And those root exudates are like a carbohydrate. They act like glue to the soil particles. So as these very fine fibrous roots grow it into it, they exude the root, they glue the soil particles together, and you end up with this wonderful network aggregated structure for your soil. That's very good. It's good for water infiltration. It's good for the next crop. So as these root structures all die, then those channels that they previously occupied are now available. So the next crop can exploit those. They don't have to take energy to create new channels. The channels are already developed in here. And one of the last things I want to share with you, this is the faba bean. As you know, some of the class faba is one of the legumes. There's also crimson clover in here. There's also peas. There's actually peas. So what I want to share with you is if you're interested in creating some extra nitrogen in your soil, This is an example, faba is an example of a legume. Legumes are able to take atmospheric nitrogen, so 78% of our atmosphere is atmospheric nitrogen, but the plants can't use it. However, they live in association with a little organism. This organism, it's a bacteria, rhizobacteria, and they live in these little nodules. And these little white nodules are where the bacteria live. You can see one there. You can see them in various locations. You can see them better right there. So each one of these little guys is a home for the rhizobacteria. They take the nitrogen that's in the air, they create it into a form that the plant can use it, and then the plant is supplied with its own nitrogen. Legumes are the only class of plant that can actually do that. So if you're wanting to create nitrogen for your soil, for your future crop, or just to help build up the organic nitrogen in your soil, legumes are an important way to do that. Red clover after wheat is probably one of the most popular examples of that. And lastly, I want to share, this is Phacelia. This is the blue one. Not hugely common, very fine seed, but you can see the network of roots. It's just they're very fine, but they're very, very dense. So again, if you want a nutrient uptake or root exudation that helps glue create your stable soil, this is a great cover crop for that. Very similar, in fact, to the grass. So very, very dense. So as you can see, huge difference between something like this, something like this. Depends what your purpose is. You may have multi-purposes that you want to choose from. All of them will provide some cover over the winter time. That would be great. However, if you're interested in something that's going on in the soil, there's a wide range of varieties of cover crops to choose from. So when you're considering growing cover crop, think about what your objectives are and then choose your cover crop mix that'll best help you achieve those objectives.